South America is a continent filled with ancient culture and cities. But in the early 1800s, a new time was beginning. It was a time of revolution, big dreams, and changes to come. And in the center of all of it was Simón Bolívar. People call him the Liberator, as he helped free 6 countries from Spanish control. The truth is, doing research for this video was extremely fun, as the story of Simón Bolívar is as intriguing as it is inspiring. His story is full of victories, painful defeats, struggles, wins, and sadness. This isn't a history lesson. This is the story of a man who changed South America forever. This is the story of Simón Bolívar. Simón Bolívar was born in Caracas, Venezuela in 1783. He came from a rich Creole family. His family owned large farms and many slaves. Because of this, Simón grew up with many luxuries and opportunities. However, his childhood was extremely sad, as he lost his mother and father when he was just a child. He was raised mainly by teachers, especially Simón Rodriguez, who was an intelligent man that taught Simón about the importance of freedom and some of the revolutionary ideas coming out of Europe at that time. When Bolívar was a teenager, he traveled to Europe to continue his education. He was a curious young man and he really enjoyed learning. He became extremely interested in the revolutionary ideas coming out of France at that time. Then, in 1805, an important moment changed his life forever. Bolívar stood with his old teacher, Simón Rodriguez, in Rome and made a promise. He said he would not rest until South America was free from the Spanish rule. At that moment, the young man became a revolutionary. He had a dream, but could he really make it happen? Bolívar returned to South America to stage a revolution, but it wasn't going to be that easy. His first attempts failed, and in 1810, he joined the independence movement in Venezuela, and for a short time, Venezuela gained its independence. But then, a terrible earthquake hit Venezuela, and the troops were caught off guard by the Spanish, who attacked again. The Republic of Venezuela of that time collapsed, and Bolívar had to make an escape. He went to New Granada, which is now known as Colombia. There, in 1812, he wrote his famous Cartagena Manifesto. In this document, he said that the revolution would need unity, and without that unity, independence would quickly fail. In 1813, he started what is called the Admirable Campaign, and it was a fast and successful campaign. Bolívar entered Caracas, Venezuela, and quickly got his victory. That's when people gave him the title, the Liberator. Unfortunately, his success didn't last long, as the Spanish royalist forces fought back strongly. And many poor people still opposed the revolution and supported the Spanish crown. They felt that the Spanish revolutionaries were just a bunch of rich people that were out of touch with the poor people's lifestyle. And in 1814 again, Bolívar lost and had to escape once more. One day he was a hero, and the next he was a refugee. His dreams seemed impossible, and for years he lived in the Caribbean, pretty poor and searching for support. While in Jamaica, he wrote his famous Letter from Jamaica, and in it he described in detail his dream for a unified South America. And if you would like to become a writer in your target language, check out Lingo Diary. Stop studying the language and start living it. Link in the description. The app is now officially available for both Apple and Android. Soon after, the story changed completely. Bolívar was hopeless, but regained support And in 1817, Bolivar returned to Venezuela. There, he built a new army. He knew he couldn't beat Spain in traditional warfare, and so he needed a new plan. So he went and recruited strong fighters from the plains. Those fighters would become his most loyal soldiers. Then, in 1819, Bolivar made his most famous attack. The Spanish expected him to attack from the coast. Him coming over the Andes Mountains would have been unreasonably difficult, and the Spanish thought even if he came from the Andes Mountains, most of the soldiers would die in the process. But that's what he did. He led 2,500 soldiers through the Andes Mountains during the rainy season. So it was a dangerous move. The journey was terrible. The mountains were cold, wet, and dangerous. Many soldiers died from sickness, cold weather, and infections. But the survivors continued, and the Spanish were so surprised to see where they came from. On August 7th, 1819, Bolivar attacked at the Battle of Boyacá, and it was a huge victory. This battle helped secure New Granada, which would then be called La Gran Colombia. Bolivar kept winning battles. One of the most important was the Battle of Carabobo in 1821, which secured Venezuelan independence. Now, Bolivar was more than just a national hero. He became a symbol of freedom across South America. By the 1820s, Bolivar's dream seemed real. He helped free Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, and Bolivia. Heck, even Bolivia was named after him. And later, Bolivar became president of a republic that was made up of the current countries, which are Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, and Panama. And this was La Gran Colombia. This was the most power he had ever had, and it was the peak of his life. Bolivar wanted South America as a whole to be united. He believed a strong central government was essential to keeping the people together. So with his time, he traveled city to city, talking to people in different cities and towns. And in 1826, he organized a giant meeting in Panama where they would discuss the future of Latin America. At this moment, Bolivar seemed unstoppable. He had achieved what seemed to be impossible. But the dream was too difficult to keep alive. Regional conflicts, political disagreements, and personal ambition slowly destroyed La Gran Colombia. People started to fear Bolivar and thought maybe he was just a little bit too power hungry. The final years of his life were terrible. His enemies became stronger, and in 1828, he even survived an assassination attempt. This betrayal deeply hurt Bolivar. And then his closest friend in general, Antonio José de Sucre, was murdered. Soon, the countries of La Gran Colombia began separating. In 1830, Venezuela and Ecuador officially left the Union. Bolivar was heartbroken and sick, so he resigned as president. The man who once represented freedom for these people quickly became a symbol of tyranny. He was tired and disappointed, and soon Simón Bolívar died on December 17, 1830, in Santa Marta, Colombia. He was 47 years old when he passed away. Before his death, he wrote a famous line saying, "All of those who have served the revolution have plowed the sea." He meant that all of us who have worked for this have done so much work with little meaning. He believed the dream of a united South America had failed. But history shows that Bolivar's ambition and his work was not for nothing. He was the founding father of 6 different countries, and his ideas about freedom and independence continue to be talked about today. Simón Bolívar's life teaches us that even heroes, even liberators, even people we admire have had immense failures, immense defeats. But the important part is to not give up. Have you ever heard the story of Simón Bolívar? If you're from South America, I would assume you have. But if you're not, maybe this was the first time. Did you like the story? If you want more videos like this to learn English, let me know in the comments section below and give the video a like. I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful week. Goodbye.